The fundamental science is something that invests in the future. If we get the information, so we can at least make some forecasts, and then we will have some time to adapt.
Antarctica is truly on the front line of climate change. Scientists based there are able to observe the fluctuations in the weather and the changing landscape close up. So when the snow began to turn an apocalyptic blood red around the Ukraine's Vernadsky research station, they were in a unique position to solve the mystery.
This is the place where these changes are rapid, where they are visible, the ice is melting, and it's actually what is happening, what we can see at our station. I have been working there for 3 years only, but I can already say that when I was there for my first time, everything was covered with snow for the whole summer. Whereas now, during the last 2 years, the snow is melting and there is a lot of exposed rocks. So yeah, the environment is changing now.
So what is the specific focus of the Vernadsky research base? Because it's a small little green hut in the middle of nowhere. Is there a particular area that they want to focus on in terms of research?
Previously, when it was the British station, because it previously belonged to British Antarctic Survey, and then it was presented to Ukraine because we had enough research capabilities at that time, when the focus was mainly on meteorological research, on ozone layer research.
The hole in the ozone layer was actually discovered at this research station in 1985, and the station continues to monitor ongoing weather and climate patterns. More recently, though, biologists such as Maria have had a place there as the study of Antarctic biota has come to the forefront of climate science.
We study plants, microbes, algae, birds, whales, and we are trying to focus on their response to the changes that are ongoing in this region.
The red snow, a recent phenomenon, was something that the scientists at the station couldn't miss.
What exactly is happening in Antarctica that is creating this dramatic visual effect?
It's called Chlamydomonada nivalis. It's a very scientific Latin name. But basically, this is a very, very small single-celled algae. And when they just start developing, they are green. But then they get this red color. This is actually the response to the extreme Antarctic environment that we see, this like the bloody color. They like to be in snow because they're specifically adapted to it, but the higher temperatures, the more active the biochemical processes are. Therefore, these two processes are connected to more sun, more warming, and that's what gives benefits to them.
Is that an indication of climate change?
These blooms, they can be actually one of the indicators of warming, but we can't be sure what is the speed of this warming, and we can't say a lot about it. We are just observing what is happening in order to be able to make some models.
The algae blooms are alarming purely because of the color. Should we be alarmed?
I'm not sure if we should be alarmed by this, because actually these algae, they are not only the bad sign. They are connected with some warming for sure, but they are important for this ecosystem because these algae, they are food for other creatures. So maybe the ecosystem itself will be also adapting to these changes. Actually, our planet was constantly adapting to some changes. We can hope that this bloom will actually create another community of small creatures feeding on it, so that can become just the part of the trophic web of the Antarctica.
Another sign that the temperature is rising is a colony of Gentoo penguins. They prefer warm weather and have made the island their home since 2007. The colony has since grown to around 4,000 birds.
Penguins preferred a warmer environment, but now, when it is gradually becoming warmer in our region, the penguins started to inhabit our island, and now there are hundreds of them. And this is also one of indicators of some changes happening around.
The penguins' arrival is also connected to the increase in blood snow. The organic matter from the colony is mixing in with the meltwater and feeding the algal bloom. In fact, the researchers are concerned that a feedback loop of warming, melting and blooming could occur because the red colouring on the snow reflects less sunlight, meaning the ice will warm more rapidly.
I actually think that we might see less and less snow there. And the big ice cap that is covering our island has broken down this year. So we think there will be less ice and less snow. The algal bloom will be still there until there will be snow and ice. I think it will happen each year now.
Even though the blood-coloured algae blooms and other signs point to a fundamental change going on, Maria remains optimistic and stresses the importance of recording the changes taking place and sharing the findings with scientists worldwide.
The science now is different from the science of the 18th or 19th century, because at that time you could just work on your small object on your own and you would be fine. But now you need to study the problem that is globally important and compare and share your data. So a lot of resources is invested now in having harmonized protocols so that you can clearly compare the data collected in different, very, very remote areas. You can't make any normal assumptions about the climate just studying some problem for 1 year or for 2 years. You need to focus on it for many years, and while you're working, you make small discoveries that might lead you to the big discovery someday.
Your research sounds so fascinating, and thank you for kind of the work you do in those very extreme conditions. And oddly, I'm both worried about the future, but somehow hopeful that maybe this is about our climate changing rather than things heading towards catastrophe.
The fundamental science is something that invests in the future. If we get the information, so we can at least make some forecasts, and then we will have some time to adapt. Our world will be changing all the time. It will not stay the same, and what we need is some tools to be able to adapt on time.
So much science in that story. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and hit the bell button below for notifications.